What's up, PLO Order? There has been some problems with video droids. I'm going to investigate what's going on, and I will make things better. Sorry for delay for this video. It has been on the production table for quite a long time, but now we are here. And the topic is cbetting three-way. And cbetting strategy in three-way pot on Jack 10-6 flop suited. So pretty draw heavy board, connects with everything, and we are three ways. Often you will see solver strategies, heads up situations, that's the most common. But sometimes we are in three-way situations, and how should we proceed? And we have an interesting treat today. Let me show you what we are going to do today, because we're going to talk about them donks. We are not going to talk about Denver Broncos or Denver donkeys. We are going to talk about whether the opponent have a donking range or not, because it has a huge impact to our cbetting strategy. You will see today whether the opponents have a donking range or not. And often when you look at how solver cbets, how much it checks, and so on, it always assumes that all the opponent plays over strategy. And then you go to your average PLO 25 table, and no one is even close to solver. So, what I did, I started to explore what if the opponents don't donk. Because there are a lot of players on micros that check 100% of their range on the flop, because they try to check raise. Well, we talked about that in the previous videos, so you know. The thing is that if they have a leading range, even if it's a balanced one, then the checking range is a bit weaker, or let me say it's on average probably not that weaker, but it's capped, because they have a lot of strong hands in their donking range. But if they check 100% of hands, then they have all the nuts, super nuts, and uber nuts, and slightly lesser nuts in their checking range. How much it affects? Well, it's always situation dependable, opponent dependable. Today we will see on the action flop Jack 10-6 three-way. And here's the situation. We are on the cutoff, we open, button folds, but small blind calls and big blind calls. Now, bear in mind, the preflop ranges are solver ranges for GG PLO 50 range, where small blind calling range is very narrow. It's very, very narrow. So it's quite tight. And then the big blind range is a bit wider. And flop is Jack 10-6. Action, jackson. And both opponents check to us. And we are there on the cutoff facing a decision. And I don't know. Oh yeah, there it is. I do know. So, cutoff versus blinds on Jack 10-6. First, if the opponents have a donking range, here's what our cbetting frequency looks like. And in my simulation, I used one sizing 3/4 for two reasons. One, it's easier to compare how much the donking range affects with one bet sizing. If you have two sizings, it gets a bit more complicated or more advanced, let me say this. And second reason is 256 gigabytes is not enough to run three-way flop with multiple sizings. It would be enough without the donking, but when the donking is allowed, the game tree gets slightly bigger, which means that the turn and river trees get bigger, and then with two different sizings, the memory is not enough. I need a better choice. But I think Jack 10-6 is a board where we don't need to have multiple sizings. We can go with the weak sizing, and that's it. So if opponents play solver strategy and they have a leading range and donking range, then once they check, we cbet 37% of our hands from the cutoff. And I will show you in a bit what kind of hands we do cbet. When opponents check their whole range, you can see that the cbetting frequency drops to 23. So from 37 down to 23. So it's not half, but almost. It's like 40% less. And that's a pretty big change in our cbetting. And now we're wondering what should we cbet there, and so on. So let's start to compare. I have those two sims. And here's the situation on the table. Jack 10-6 flop, both of opponent checks, we are here. And of course, how solver works, it always uses the latest positions in the table view. So even if this is button, it means that the button is the one in position. So there's always going to be button on this, but the ranges I set up when running the sim, he has a cutoff opening range, and these guys have blind calling range. So don't worry about it looks this way, that's how solver works, but it's cutoff versus small blind versus big blind. And here on the left, now I hope you have a kick-ass resolution because the font is really small. But here we can see that it's actually 36.6% cbet. And on the right, where opponents don't have a donking range, they check their whole ranges, we're cbetting only 22.9. And what I have here is the categories I set up on this flop. And I named them, I do have them on the notepad file, what they do actually mean, but they mean exactly what they mean. And every category that is over something is deducted from the bottom ones. Like if we have a top set was draw, then naked top set means all the hands that are not on the top category. So we will have here where it is, we have ace blocker. Ace blocker means that the range is actually ace of diamonds without any other hit on the board. No flush draws, no pairs, no straight draws. So it's just the ace of diamonds and nothing else on the board, not even an overpair. No jack, no 10, no 6, no nothing. So naked ace blocker. And now top set was draw. Well, no brainer, 100%. Middle set we draw 100%. Bottom set we draw 100%. In both situations, if we have a set and draw, and now the draw means either open-ender or better, open-ender or wrap, or a flush draw. So if we have a set with additional equity, even the bottom set, it's just a cbet. Those are the power hands, really strong ones. And then when we come down on the left, top two with a draw, bet. On the right, top two with a draw, 83%, pretty much we still cbet it. So all the strong hands, naked top set, 100% almost cbet. The first hand where there's a huge difference is the ace blocker. And this is pretty interesting. When opponents have a donking range, then if we have an ace blocker, we cbet in 96.4% of times. So virtually, we cbet naked ace blocker 100% of times. But if opponents don't have a donking range, we can see here, on the right, ace blocker only 35% of times. And most likely then, it's hands that block straight draws. So if you're wondering what ace blockers we do bet, then we want to bet ace blockers that block straight draws. Of course, you cannot have your own draw, but pretty much hands that have king, queen, or 9. Queen and 9 are the best blockers there is. But then that's the huge difference. And if we see like combo draw means no showdown value, flush draw with some kind of straight draw. On the left, versus donking range, 67%. On the right, 51%. Not huge difference. In real life, sometimes bet, sometimes don't. Naked middle set, 65. Naked middle set, only 28. So that's where this thing starts to drop. There's a difference. If we have it just try 10-10 versus donking range, when they check 2 out of 3 times we bet, but then if they check everything, we bet only 1 out of 3 times. And when we come to these bottom 2 with the draw, 50% cbet. If opponents have a donking range, bottom 2 with the draw, only 30% cbet. Side drop there. So pretty much we have the premium hands, sets and top 2 with redraws, or try top set. Those are the hands we cbet, no matter if opponents have a donking range or not. Those are the monsters. But then if opponents are average micro players who check everything and try to check raise strong hands, why wouldn't they? Then the first adjustment is that 3-way pots, we don't make bluffs or pure bluffs. We don't bet naked ace blocker that much, and my advice is at micros I wouldn't bet naked ace bluff versus 2 players here often, unless I have like blocker, queen or 9 and backdoor spades. Could do that. But tone down if you see when it heads up, or if you 3-ways bet here. I would assume that 3-ways, most of us wouldn't bet naked ace blocker 100% of times. I'm quite sure. That's a big surprise to me that solver wants to bet it that often. But then when we go to those medium strength hands, bottom 2 with additional draw, naked top pair, naked top 2, 45%, and 30% here if opponent checks everything, and so on. Bottom pair with the draw, 20% even, versus donkers, bottom pair and draw, only 8%. Versus checkers. So the thing is that the difference there is, and it comes from the middle part of our range. The bottom part of our range we don't bet often in either case, but important thing is that tone down the ace blocker bluffs. And now in the categories we don't have pocket pair blockers like queens or 9s, because there's no straight possibility on the board. But 9s could be an interesting one. It's not here. So the thing is, like overpair and draw, we didn't talk about overpairs. 45 on the left, 32. So you can see that it drops a little. So no one can play according to exact percentages. I mean, no one remembers them on each different board type or board structure, and then you would need a kick-ass sample size to see if you actually have those percentages. The reason why I'm using here solver and why you should pay attention to solver is to pick up tendencies, pick up strategies, and think, do they make sense, and should I implement them? And the biggest thing here from today's video, if you want to pick up one thing, is if opponents are bad ones, that they never donk, they always check and then just check raise the strong hand, it actually means that you should cbet less. Often in micro the other way, we think that okay, opponent is not a GTO machine, so we can cbet more and just exploit him. But the thing is that actually when they start to donk and they do check, it means that you can cbet a bit more. So versus two players, we shouldn't cbet a lot. Anyway, it's mostly for value. My rule of thumb for micros is we bluff heads up and multi-way pots, which means 3-way or more. Just go for value mostly. Set good bluffing spots, mostly go for value. And solver does that too. Mostly value heavy. The thing is that if opponents check everything, then be cautious, more cautious with your middle strength hands. The monsters are monsters. Sets with redraws, top 2 with redraws, get it in, enjoy life. If we have a crappy hand, give up, enjoy life. We have only backdoors, give up or not give up, check, hit the backdoors, enjoy your life. But when we have those middle strength hands, try top 2, middle pair with a draw, and so on and so on. Those are the hands that versus 100% checks tone down the cbetting frequency. So if you normally cbet, then you need some additional components or things to justify the cbet. And very often, instead of doing random numbers, I mean, I've seen people who have a random number generator on their desktop, and then they say that, okay, I think I should cbet here 60% of times with this hand. Let's roll the number. If it's below 60, I cbet. That's nonsense. Don't do it. I haven't heard any modern player saying that it would be a good thing. The better thing is to use the side cards as randomizers and deciding factors. Like here, if we want to bet our middle strength hands, we want to have some kind of blockers or backdoors. Like if we want to bet half of our overpair and draw, then let's say that we cbet overpair with high flush draw and check overpair with low flush draw. And then if we want to tone that down, like it's 45, and then overpair and draw is only 32, so we need to cut quarter of our overpair and draws, then make the threshold a bit higher. If versus donkers we cbet aces with queen high flush draw, then on the right we cbet aces with king high flush draw. Or we want to have blockers to straight. On the left we bet pocket kings with the flush draw. Then on the right, if we want to tone down, we bet pocket kings with the flush draw and some kind of blocker to our opponent calling range. Or blocker to their outs, because when they call us, they most likely have some kind of draw, so we would like to have a 9. Of course, pocket kings with 9, we would have the cut shot. That would be even better. But the point is, the smaller the frequency is, the better side cards you need. And you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be good enough. So when you understand that the side cards matter. Like if it's a situation where we cbet certain hand categories with really high frequency, we just do it with pretty much everything we got. But once we go to the 50%, 30% frequencies, use the side cards. And if you just know that, okay, we want to bet this kind of hand here, like 50% frequency more or less, we need certain strength for the side cards. And if it goes down to the 30-20%, we need even more. So we need really good side cards. I mean, on the left, naked middle pair, so just 10 XXX is cbet 20% of times. So it's 1/5 of our 1/5 of our 10 XXXX hand. So it has to be in the top 20% of our 10 XXX hands that doesn't have any other draws. So it needs to have some kind of blocker or overcard. Of course, if we have a, well, we could have king then, queen then, ace then, preferably 1 diamond. So that's pretty much starting point. Or then 9 with 1 diamond. So we have a 1 straight blocker and we have a 1 flush blocker. And then just check everything else. Or 10, 9, 9, and so on. So, let me just mute this droid interrupting our video. So, there we go about some frequencies and how to bet. So, here's the thing to remember. 3 ways we bet 40% rounding here. 40% of our hands, which is relatively high. We should have a lot of hands that hit here. And it's mostly for value. And then versus donking range, it is with the ace blocker, that's most of our bluffs. Because when we go to here, that we have just 1 draw or we don't have anything, we don't bet it. So we can see that pretty much the whole betting frequency is from the value perspective. So if you're wondering how much should we bluff 3 ways, solver doesn't accept naked ace blocker on flush draw board, but if opponent check more than solver would, it tones down the blocker ace of diamond bluff. So here on the right, it's pretty much no bluff strategy. There aren't many bluffs here. Value hands and some selected semi bluffs, and that's the way to go with this flop. All right. I hope you enjoyed this one about how to play Jack 10-6. If you have any questions or you want to get pictures of this, you missed this, then just let me know. Or if there's something that I forgot to go over, or you want to know exact hands, we didn't go to the exact hands today. It would take a long time to go through everything, like examples. So if you feel like we should explore, okay, what kind of ace blockers we bet then on the right, then just let me know, and I will let you know. I have the sims, no problem. You are in PLO Order, it's included in your subscription. Make questions, ask, and you shall be answered. Alright, I will see you on the next video. It's going to be a special one, or the video is not the special one, but the way to get to the video is going to be a special one. I will be explaining that pretty much at the same time, so stay tuned, and I will see you on the Discord. Have fun on the tables. Bye bye.